The most talked about matchup of the college football week 8 slate, Georgia, Texas. What a game. Let's talk about it, give a prediction, talk about our EA College Football 25 model, and then get right into the analysis. Let's hop into it. Texas has had an amazing start to the year, a very impressive road win versus Michigan. Quinn Ewers looked great in that game, but following that up with UTSA, he gets injured, misses a couple of games. Sophomore quarterback and phenom recruit Arch Manning takes over as the starter, and to be honest, he was very serviceable. I mean, man, that kid has got some wheels. We never saw that with his Uncle Peyton or his Uncle Eli, but man, he knows how to fly with the football in his hands. All that being said, Texas has been off the charts great so far this year. They're a top 5 scoring offense, a top 5 scoring defense. They lead the nation in point differential. They're just blowing teams out of the water over and over and over again. And that's exactly what they did versus Oklahoma last week. Quinn Ewers returns from injury, and Texas absolutely scorches Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry, 34-3. It was really never even close. Texas's defense took advantage of Oklahoma's struggling offense. I think Oklahoma's top 5 receivers missed that game, not to mention they've got the quarterback battle basically a mid-off between their two quarterbacks. But Texas overall, one thing that I want to point out when I looked at this game was I see they have the number 1 scoring defense. Well, they've played UTSA, they've played Michigan, they've played Mississippi State, they've played Colorado State, and a couple of other teams. The best team that they played offensively, I believe, was Michigan, and they have the 84th best scoring offense. The average scoring offense that Texas has played so far is 107. So it comes as no surprise to me that they're top 5 in scoring defense. They haven't faced a challenge yet. This is it. The Georgia game is the make or break, I think, for do we take Texas seriously as a college football playoff contender, not only to win a few games, but win a national championship. There's a lot of potential here. Quinn Ewers has showed that he is that guy in these spots before. Go back to last year versus Alabama on the road at Bryant-Denny Stadium. He scorched the Crimson Tide and might have played a big factor in sending Nick Saban into retirement. Those are my personal thoughts. All that being said, let's talk about Georgia. Carson Beck, he knows how to sling the rock, especially when Georgia's down. Georgia is 8th in the country in yards per game passing, and they're 21st in the country in yards per play. You go back and look at that Alabama game, it was Carson Beck's arm that put Georgia back in that game and then gave Georgia the lead. He was throwing the ball everywhere on that Alabama defense. And so when you match up that talent level, it's pretty equal to what Texas has got there. But I think Georgia is going to play a physical type of football game. Yes, they are missing a couple of pieces in their running back and offensive line group, specifically Tate Ratledge, who is questionable for this game. I think that's a big factor, especially when I get into my prediction. A lot of people don't really talk about offensive linemen, but Tate Ratledge is the best offensive guard in college football and potentially top 10 pick. Now, that's saying a lot for an offensive guard. They don't get picked in the top 10 that often. But let's move on. Let's talk about the game. Georgia, if they have health on their side, will be performing at peak level like we saw versus Clemson when they beat the ever-living dog out of them in the 3rd and 4th quarter. I think Georgia has the potential to do exactly that to Texas, but what they have to do is 2 things. 1, they have to step up on defense. They've allowed way too many points to start the year. 42, I believe, to Alabama. They allowed 30-something to Mississippi State last week. Pretty unacceptable stuff, especially considering the talent on this Georgia team, specifically in the defensive back room. Malachi Starks has not had the year that people thought that he would. He's a preseason All-American. Hasn't played like that yet. yet. He still has the potential. I think he has the talent. But overall, Kirby Smart is going to have to get his defense motivated to go in and win this game. Their defense is okay. They're 29th in the country in third down percentage allowed, meaning that opponents have a harder time converting on third down. They've scored 30 plus points in the last five of their last 6 games. I think that's pretty impressive considering that this Texas team knows how to move the football, running it or passing it. Now, Texas, on the other hand, is missing 3 or 4 of their 7 running backs in that unit. I think that could play a very big factor considering this is going to be a physical football game. Whether you think so or not, we're going to see a battle in the trenches, especially when it comes to the run game. I think if Texas wants to win here, they've got to establish the run. And to me, I just think that's really hard to do against Georgia. They might have the best front 7, if not top 5, maybe top 10 if you really want to stretch it. Quinn Ewers has performed extremely well in these spots, but does he have the weapons to do it? Isaiah Bond is questionable for this game. I imagine he's going to go, but will he be at 100%? My guess is no. Ewers, of course, also dealing with injuries. He's missed 2 of the last 3 games. Oklahoma's the best offense they've played. They're atrocious. My prediction is that Georgia might not win, but they will cover a 5-point spread. As of right now, that's what it is at right now. Let's talk about the College Football 25 model. I took this one and 8 others into College Football 25, the video game, and I simulated each of these matchups 50 times apiece. These are the statistics I got. Georgia outright won 54% of these matchups to Texas's 46. Average score, Georgia 30, Texas 28. So the margin there is very small. The median score, Georgia 30, Texas 28. Once again, really close. The cover percentage, Georgia covered the spread 66% of the time. And of course, that's including their outright wins. When you win outright, not only do you cover the spread, but you win the damn game. 66% of the time, Georgia was able to cover that spread. A lot of these games were very close. A lot of these simulations came down to the last 1 or 2 possessions, and Georgia was the one who capitalized on these. Now, in these simulations, I did use Tate Ratledge as a player in these. I think if he ends up being out, reconsider this line because he is such an impactful player. The over-under of this game was set, I believe, at 50-something and a half. All I want to say is that the under hit 46% of the time, the over hit 54% of the time. I think there's no play there, but Georgia, I think, has a good chance to come in and shock the world. The model's pick is +5. I am officially taking my own personal pick of the money line. I think Georgia's going to pull this upset off, but the model's pick is +5. That's what we'll be riding with. So that's going to do it for our Georgia-Texas preview. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.